I really don't understand what you say. So it's very strange because it comes from system, process, but more not. I will try to speak about these problems of orientation, of information, but also of what is atmosphere in this public space. And I like to name this writing the civic space. And civic, I think it's clear, and writing in the way that one of the activity in center of our process is the text and the pictures, and how can we, with these instruments, change a little bit the public space. That will be one of the topic of this element. And at all we work for user, and we try to make that the user are happy and can go our way. That's one of the basic elements. But behind all this, there are another part, and I will be happy if I can make a little extract in French. Excuse me, my French is better as my English, but speaking français traduce this in Sloven, so I hope you can read it with me. Écrire les creux de la ville. Laissez-moi profiter de cette ouverture urbaine, de cette lecture de la ville en creux, pour proposer un autre regard sur cet écrit présent dans l'espace public. J'utilise volontairement le terme au singulier, au même titre qu'on dit par exemple le paysage, désignant ainsi un ensemble plus ou moins cohérent qui s'étend sur un territoire. Dans notre cas, cet ensemble se verra constitué de signes destinés à nous interpeller, à nous séduire, à nous avertir, empêcher, informer, à nous orienter et tout simplement à nous entretenir, voire plus rarement à nous cultiver. De messages individuels, de cris comme de chuchotements, de chants comme d'horribles râles, de papillons visibles à peine quelques heures comme de marquages millénaires, de signes sans vergogne d'intérêt purement marchand, d'autres qui ne figurent là que pour se dédouaner en cas d'accident, de longs règlements qu'aucun ne lira, de quelques lettres nécessaires, puis de certaines utiles à certains, mais pas à d'autres, enfin ce que l'on pourrait qualifier d'intérêt public, s'il n'était, porterait préjudice. Évitant pourtant de les distinguer, de désigner l'inutilité des uns, l'agressivité des autres, enfin la laideur ou la dimension banalement répressive, répétitive des derniers. Essayons de nous détacher de chaque expression individuelle pour ne considérer que l'ensemble. Arrêtons surtout de les définir comme de simples excroissances nuisibles qu'il s'agirait de combattre à coups de règlement. Voyons-les au contraire comme un paysage qu'il s'agirait de soigner, d'entretenir, de qualifier, peut-être de reconcevoir partiellement au même titre que l'on entretient un parc ou tout autre espace végétal. D'ailleurs, la notion d'entretien du creux de ville pourrait nous porter bien naturellement vers celle du jardinage de l'écrit dans la ville. C'est-à-dire d'une approche où s'allie la vision d'un ensemble résultant du soin porté plus particulièrement à chacune des plantes, chaque élément ne se justifiant vraiment qu'en coordination avec les autres. Difficile exercice cependant, vu les préjudices négatifs de considérer ce corpus comme effrayant. Notre époque, lassée d'un trop de publicité, de vulgarité visuelle, plaide plutôt pour la solution radicale développée à Sao Paulo, qui consiste à supprimer, à interdire l'écrit dans la ville, comme si celui-ci relevait d'une sorte d'irrémédiable pollution. Je préfère pour ma part l'envisager comme un potentiel améliorable, comme une sorte de délaissé, que le jardinier pourrait transformer progressivement en un ensemble cohérent ou même agréable. It's okay? Can change? Son travail ne se limiterait pas à remplacer les plantes et à mieux les entretenir. Il devrait en fonction des situations et des besoins, agencer les sous-ensembles cohérents, réagir de manière créative au contexte, faire sens, veiller à ne pas trop en rajouter, permettre le lien entre un site et un autre, introduire des surprises, des contrastes, des frontières ouvertes, bref, une douce poésie. Cette approche consisterait progressivement à inscrire l'écrit dans le site, à soigner la qualité de la relation entre l'expression de cette inscription et l'environnement subtilement modifié par sa présence. So, let's finish with text. Just a second. So I see what happened. Now I try to make a little bit a description about the different elements who are behind this intervention of writing the public space. One is very direct, gives the possibility of the orientation of information and let the space legible. I will start with a project we are doing for a city, the city of Metz, and we try to make again every information who are present in the public space who are in destination of the pietons. And we try to give a very contemporary style, but who is based on historical context of this city, and introduce the element of narration, of description inside of this orientation. So a process of conception is a long process, and it's very important when you work on this outside to make this test not only on computer but also in real size, in real situation, in more and more in real material also, to bring it then to a system. And when I say system, for me is every time how can we make systems who are open, who are only based on repetition. It's very strange because we speak about this idea for Slovenia. Was not an idea is coming from me, it's coming from the student. This idea to give the fourth direction with the color. In this case, because the center of Metz is historical, we decide to be very out of color in the center and very strong in color in the outside. So this gives a little bit the color nuance, and this is then applied on science system who are very narrative, with many explications, many text, many. So it's not only a file; it's really a way to explain what this city is. And this starts to be enter in different situations. To be in accord, in resonance with situation. You see here an element who is a little bit a guide, or an element who has a function of identification, or identification of the city very far away, or the identification of the limit of two quarter inside of the city on the floor. And any prototypes, this was the first prototype we do, and every time with this idea to really work this in context and to react at situation, to don't do elements who are only on repetition. In this case is the tourist office, and here we are in this element who is only white when you are in front of it, but when you come a little bit more in perspective, you see the colors. This effect of very fine line and all this is in reference with the cathedral, who is on the same place. And this is orientation from the different, the connection in between the center and different quarter. So it's now also finished, this part. You see is a design who is only, is two-dimensional at all, is only cut on a metal plate. So this element is the same, is a part of the panel. So it's and every time you have this effect of color in the. So this gives at all an identity, language at the. I prefer language as an identity, a language, a visual language at this city. And we will work in the next 5 years and make more and more little interventions in this context. But every time with this only cutting, so it's a kind of broderie. The second function we can have with writing is to speak about the urban space, but also to give a coherence at different elements. And I will present here an university, the International University of Paris. Is a place with a long story. The story started after the First Mondial War, and was a place of reconciliation, a place who the idea is that the different countries of the world can build a house, and students from all the world come at this place. And the project is how can we give here also a special language at this territory, and in the same time resolve the orientation. We decided to make a typographical intervention which is based on the Latin typeface in mixture with typeface from other cultures. And this was, we do it in the beginning of the 90s, and was really a challenge at this time to make a font who can introduce this accident inside of the typeface, and with alia, with every time other combination, and we do this programmation with letter error, the typeface group of Holland. And also the signature is not something who has every time the same form, is something who dock at different position. Here you see different possibilities to write the name of this university, and you have many other possibilities. The element is based on the Neurut of André Baldinger, but for each letter we introduce other typeface, other signs who come from other cultures and who don't mean in the other culture O, can mean something absolutely other, but is really, and I speak about many students of this place, and they say, oh yeah, I recognize my culture at this place. So it's more a kind of appropriation. So when you tape A, you have many possibilities and all this. It's based on a system of alia. And with different intensity, you can give big intensity or low intensity. This is something who don't broke the legibility, and when you take a little bit more, you have really problem, and you have to go learn again to read these elements. The different signatures, and the idea to have 3 levels. The level who is the level of all the territory, of entities who are for all the nations, and then the identity of the different houses. and each house has his own identity, so we don't make a imperial system and say everything has to be the same. Each house can have an identity who is her identity, but they are docked with signature. So we have elements, Cambodge work in two languages. Any element has a logotype, we accept also this, and we introduce all this in a system, not in an authoritarian way, more in a propositional way. The same is with color. It's not only one color for the house. We give a panel of colors for writing and colors for background, and so each house can also use a special part of the identity. And when we speak about all the territory, we speak about this kind of element. In the theater is more, there are inside of this territory a theater. This is more the changing with the time, because a theater has to surprise us every time again. And this is the internet site and the sign system. And you see the sign system is based on two, we bring together two elements. We bring the orientation, you have to go there when you, and in the same time the explication. So this is combined and bring to one system. This element is in the center, and when you enter, and is a little bit the narration of the manifest of this university, and that's different panels. So it's also with different color, but the color is not oriented. That's the system of mapping. The mapping is every time position in the middle of what you have left and right. So you can take the, when you are in one part of the territory, you have the map here, and when you are on the other part, it's going more left. And it's every time what is near is big and what is far away is little. So it's a very spontaneous orientation at all. This is the entrance. All this is has a historical dimension, and we had big discussions also to make this sign system, because in French you have architectes des monuments historiques who are protecting this kind of territory, and it was heavy to say we need a panel who is this dimension, but we explained then that to make it big like this is not so pollution as to make 10 little panels around who give all the direction. So how can we integrate the element in the reality? And then after a time, because I say yes, we make it red, he was not so happy about the red. And I say, yeah, yes, but with the time come to be not so intensive, and what's not true. And then he react at the panel and he make a red street. So I think this ping pong in between architecture, urbanism, and graphic design. At first was this one. At first was the landscape. Then I do something and he do something, and I think this is interesting. What happened is that this territory was before a territory without narration, without discussion, nobody speak about it, and at the time we start to make text on the territory, start to be visitors. So it's also a visitor needs a kind of confirmation, yes, is something important. So it's a combination in between, it's the same as a museum, huh? You have the art piece and you need the little element to say this is important and this is this. So it's the same, I think, in the public space. So we have also temporary information. I go quick. And you see this system give us the possibility to, only when we speak, we use interphone, you know is inside of the, in the Cité Internationale. So it's, the typography give really the identity of the place. So another dimension who is for me very important is how can we not make branding. I hate this terminology of branding. Is this what we do on the co to give the name of the co? I try to very more work on the reality and give a form at the reality and not give from outside an element who says this is this. And what one of the dimensions who is very important for me is how can we still conserve the richness. The ideology of branding is an ideology of reduction of one element who is repeated. And I think it's really a problem for cities, for public space at all. Because a city is interesting because there is in the same time an opera, jazz and punk music. This diversity we have to explain also in the communication. That's it's difficult for me to give the argument of all this in 10 minutes, but I try to work in other ways about this approach of speak about place. I will here give the example of the city of Lyon. It's also a project a little bit older, but I like it because it's every time possible to make little projects on this base. We make just a system who is really simple, who was based on mobiliar, who is at all without big expression and with many possibilities, and we say the identity comes from the graphic, comes from the two-dimensional element. And then we can change the style from one quarter to the other. So it's this idea to say one city can be also a plural element, and one quarter in this case is a quarter a little bit like this quarter you have to go to the castle, something very vertical, and we make an orientation which is based on the ski piste, so you go from the top and you can visit this quarter in different way, and with very little information. Another very different element in the parks, who we work about a system of light who is coming from the sun, so the element recharge the light in the day and come to be a little lighting in the beginning of the night. Or an historical part who we try to make a connection in between elements you often see in the Highness and the science system. Or science boulevard, here we are very more in a situation with cars and with, or here outside of the city in an industry zone, who we try to find out, to fish up vegetal dimensions of this territory. Or a building of Enzo Piano, a quarter also, who we make another system or another activity. So we can, in the same time, have elements who are similar when you look, we are every time the same typeface, but the look and the impression are very different, and this gives at the city at all a big richness. Then another in France is a big topic in the moment. How can we, with design, have a better social connection with the habitants, and how can we walk with the habitants? And I just give one example. Is an example I do with Institute Civic City, who is a research institute of critic design we have in Geneva, and we work on very hard quarters in Marseille, quarters with many social problems, and who we can say the population are disabused. They will not speak again with politicians. They will not say don't promise me new things. I know you will not do it. So it's a big desesperance, and our challenge is to say we can again start to work with habitants, and we make a workshop with a church. How can we use the prototyping as a tool to start a discussion? So it's not prototyping in the way to make something after, to make it, to realize it, but prototyping to say we test it together and then we can change any elements. So this situation is a quarter, and inside of this quarter we make the quarter is cut with an autostrad, and here, from here to here, you have 300 meters. So you see it. You can speak with the other side. But if you will go from here to here, you need, as peasant, you need a half hour or quarter hour. You have to go like this. So a very long travel. Because in the 60s, the city was built in cité, so it's a closed element, and each part are like a sack, now the point is how can we connect all this? How can we help children to go from one part to the other, and also the parent? So that was a little bit the element. You see the situation. We have a big element. This is 18,000 inhabitants, so it's a very big element. And here you see this situation that's like a Baur, go very down. You have here cemetery, so it's one element you can not travel, and then you have the autostrad. And again you go over at this point. So our proposal is to connect this, and we start to make Belvedere. We start to say, okay, we will test with you the necessity of this way, and we will construct just this little part here, this element. And this is connected with something historical. When you are here, you have this historical situation. You see the sea, and you see the sea also here. So it's the same situation. And that's explained a little bit what I explained before. We make a very interesting map. It's difficult to present it with the inhabitants. So we discuss, we make a utopical map. I name it Utopia of Proximity, in the way that we speak about what can be changed, and we draw not the reality of today, we draw the changing, but in a way that's the topology is right, and so it's a map at all. No? And this, so we speak about a connection, we speak about new play for the children, and all this is inside of this map. and this map come to be printed on this belvedere, and you see it here. So you see a kind of possible future who was the base of this discussion. And then we finished this, had to be absolutely perfect, had to be something important for the inhabitants, and this was a little bit the finishing. And then we invite the population, and we had many discussions about this future. And it was very beautiful because inhabitants was very quick in identity. They connect her home with this element. Also the young ones. So that's the style of the quarter. It's like this. And when you see it from down, we explain that this belvedere is the first step to go down. Then was 1 year discussion with the city, and now we are in the second step, and we find out that the cemetery has to be bigger, and we use now, so we make also an analysis of this cemetery. Is just a little cemetery, but it's very exciting because it's at all melting pot of many cultures of the world. So it's at all is a different kind of celebration of the dateness, and we speak about the cemetery of the culture of the world, and try to give this multiplicity insight, and try to present also the culture of different cemeteries, and look how we can make. At all, we convince the city to make a new mower of the cemetery, not to do the mower of the cemetery, but to make a way who is just behind this element. So we will have a way who connect from this top to the most direct way, and we decide what is cemetery, what is closed, what is public space, and try now that the next workshop will be to make the quality of this mower, because the mower is the symbol of the way, and how can we do with this? It's very quick, and each time you have possibility to see the other signs. So how can we introduce also quality in this situation? But to do this, we have two solutions. We say at the municipalities they have to do it, and they make a competition for different firms to realize this, and we decide to do it in another way. We say that's a very big chantier, a little bit like the construction of a cathedral. And for this we need a school. This will be the school. We need a community of artisans, and we will build a little element for this community. The community are the young people from the quarter, and so we will initiate a school of artisan and design, an activity of artisan, and we hope to have the money to work at this element for 2 or 3 or more years, and then we close again the school and bring it in another point. So a new design also for a kind of school. So in the same time, the activity of writing is also an activity of introduction of poetic, but in the same time we have to make sense. It's not poetic for poetic, it's a poetic for this place, and it's a poetic who is connected with with a function. And I like this little ping pong in between a function and a poetic. This is was an old factory, printing factory, and this factory was, like many factories, closed from outside and just with one enter. And the biggest change we make is to break the Baur and to say the entrance can be on different part of the city. And then we make a kind of theatralization. What is this connection in between the outside and the inside? You come with a car, you stop, and you can stop also to drink something, and then you enter. And is this way to say we can also make something very simple complex and bring this function you need at this place to be a decorative element. There's another situation of a parking is a parking in the city of Chambord, and Chambord is a city who has a big festival of graphic design, and we try to make a parking who is in reference with this history of graphic design. So each place has something with a sign of the history of the graphic design, and you stop on signs at all. And when the parking is empty, you have the history of this discipline. And this is the entrance of the city. You have to have to go in the middle of this parking. So it's also a kind of horizontal sign of this place. And then we do all the mobiliar also for this parking, but also for all the city, about this activity of don't see something. This is the grid of trees who is in Bodoni italic. That's Bodoni italic, and that's Dido. So it's two typefaces who are in symbol of the same. So, who is also very important for me is to make this conception in connection with the context. It's not to be an artist and to say I will invent something. It's really to confront you with the existing and try to transform it. This is a work I do with architects in Strasbourg. Is a library, and this was before the architect intervenes, an old dock, and inside has to be a library. And they ask us to make the sign system, and we look what we had to write, and then we introduce, we find out a text who the element we need was present in the text. So we extract from the books, from the library, we extract elements and bring this. And then from the graphic design we just do something. We bring this content a little bit in a second visibility, and what we bring in top is what was the element we need. And this style gives us also the possibility to change language from each department of this library. So each department has another typeface, but every time cut it with this white band. So this gives that is what you find in the lift, and so each element are very different. Is a kind of narration about the content of this building. And this starts. They start outside. They start. We had to write Mediathèque André Malraux, and we write it with text, with citation who André Malraux is written. We find different and we have to write media text, so it's also inside of a text. And this come in all the building, on the floor, and on different places who we need information. So it's only on point who we really need information, but can be very large. And this is a very cheap system, because we just print on the wall. We don't have a support. It's the only. So at all, I think graphic design in the yet situation can help to change an urban situation, can bring a dynamic, can change the perception, can bring new credibility at part of the city who has social problems or credibility problem. And I will present for this project I do in Montreal with the Quartier des Spectacles in the center of Montreal. And this was a very strange command, because 28 cultural institutions decide to make a quarter. Not administrative quarter, because this quarter is divided in 3 administrative elements who are connected with other, but they say the quantity of cultural element can make that we can speak about a quarter, and decide to give a name, Quartier des Spectacles, and then ask us to make the identity of this territory. For us, what was very important is to connect the cultural establishment from each of. I think it's the same for you. You go at this museum, but not in another museum. So we don't have the perspective of all. We have connection with part of city, but not of the panel of the city. And the identity we construct is at all an identity who is based on all. So we have every time, not every time, but often we have the name of all the institution, and then we start to play with elements. And when we speak about Musée Just pour Rire, it's more in action, and when something other is in action, we can transform it. So it's a logotype with every time adapted with about who we speak. That's the color system, so it's absolutely open. It's only we have to speak to make the evocation of light, but we can use all the color. And that was a very important moment. We make a manifest of the quarter. We say what has to be, what's the intention. We speak about public space, about artistic expression. So it was a little bit the first element, and we decide also to say we have at first, because this quarter nobody know about it. At first we have to say that's the perimeter, that's the territory. And we do it with a light system, a very simple light system which is based on red points. And these red points are every time on the front of this cultural institution. So it gives also an orientation, where is the culture. So give the orientation, but also this way to say we are together. We are one thing. We are not only on competition. And the difficulty was, how can we at the same time say we are together and we are different? Because the catastrophe is to say everything is the same. That's absolutely not a good way. So we decided to make this point on the floor. That was the first element. And then, there are many. This is with 3 watt lamps, so it's very ecological, very good. And then we ask at each cultural institution to work on her facade. But this, we just make a kind of orchestration, but the cultural institution has to work with a light designer, and the idea is to work on difference, but with a kind of approach who is surely connected with architecture. And so now after the 6 years, there are more as 20 facades who are kind of cultural expression of light. Any make that's a SAT. SAT is a technology place, so this is very experimental, and other are very more classical or more simple. So each has different expression, but every time with light. Any work on interactive elements. And now this is the result in between 2007 and 2012 of this activity. And we see at this point in 2011, we see that's not enough. It's not enough to to make that the public space come to be an interest at all. And we introduce then a video projector. We introduce two elements. We say at first will be very interesting to connect all these elements together and to have a kind of orchestration of what happened in this quarter. And then we introduce video projector, and this video projector are every time in the same place, so it's fixed element, but there are subject for artists to work on it. So we invite different artists to work on one situation. And now the last temptation was to invite one artist to make all the situation and to start to make connection in between these different situations. And this gives very different result, with a kind of at all, this reality is very boring. It's very boring if we are every time in a repetition. This is what we see in Hong Kong and other big cities of Asia. You have this kind of expression, and all the night make this. What fantastic with video projection is you can make like a radio 24 hours different. So you can really start to say it's like a screen of and then, because it's absolutely new, we also learn on it. The first generation had possibilities and make everything in maximum and in rush, and then after a moment we understand it's very more interesting to work only with one color, to be very more slow. Bring slowness in a city is very more difficult as to bring rush, bring poetic. So, and year after year the intervention are a little bit changing. The style is also changing, so any situation come to be very interesting, and more the interventions has to do with interactivity. So that was the point in 2010. We had one intervention, and now we have 10 interventions for each situation. So we can really change the reality. But also for us it's very important to don't do this every time. So it's we make a kind of subtraction, and we have a really program that say at this time you will have a show, and then it's again finish, and next will be. So really to say has to be also a situation of exception and not a situation of repetition. Now for me, the next challenge I try to do, it's difficult to convince my client, but I will say now we will make different festivals. Here is a little bit the festival of techno, I think, and I will give this instrument at illustrator, I will give it at photographer, and I will give it at information designer. And try to say when other kind of artist or creator are with this same instrument, what happened. It's difficult because the client is very happy about the success, and so it's difficult to bring it in a new way when everything is good. And this is for me now the new revolution is we make a program, we connect all this, and now with the e-phone we can make the connection of all this intervention in the city. So one person from home can say, okay, I stop this video, I take all the points together, I bring it in an activity, or I bring it slow. And this is also with water pumps and with other kind of elements. But it's really possibilities to make an orchestration of a city. The result is a little bit this, so it's a place with many festivals, many activities, was very popular for the population. Who there are big transformation. Many restaurants we have a little problem of gentrification. Was a very sad quarter with drug and prostitution and all, a little bit dangerous. And now it's the other problem is come to be too expensive. So we have to look what we do. But what for me also very new and experimental are this interaction you can do in this public space in between a piano and a video. How can you make visual music, or this elements who was absolutely fantastic was 20 balance like this, and each balance had one part of the facade, and they can make three-dimensional rhythm, and when every person was in the same rhythm, you had the facade who make also this. So it's absolutely element who you see that in the public space you can again play with persons who you don't know. The topic also for us now is to say we have to find moments of coordination, and we try all 30 minutes to make a clock to say the time, and to introduce the explication, the name of artists, the title of the art piece, to start to really don't make it only on effect, but really give a cultural position at these works. Then near of this we try to make other element with light. We work on the pedestrian sign system who will be with light, so when the car's going you have this situation, and then the elements are changing, and when you are pedestrian you have the sign system where you can go. And this is the first test, so it's absolutely secure at all, and other kind of interventions. So another topic for me who is very important is how can we work together with different creators. How can we make a synergy in between landscape, light, architecture, public space design and mobiliar and sign system. I just give one example. Is something who is at all in realization not optimal, but I like the adventure. Was an architect of Caracas who asked me to help him in a very special situation. Who you are in the barrios or favelas, and that's the center of Caracas, and Chavez make a metro cab in between the center and this quarter. And so you see the reality. You have here the poverty and hard poverty, and here's the center of the city, and Chavez will connect these two elements as social element. We work on analyze of the city, but the idea was to make, how can we make a monument in the middle of this quarter who brings this quarter to be fier, to be happy about what her place is. So we work with different graphic design element who has to be about this. And our concept was to say we can make in the night this three light points who can be the three station of this part. So these three elements who are in the middle of this barriers. That's when you work at this kind of element, you cannot be in a research of perfection. It's a very big difference if you work in Switzerland and you have a client, and this client you make absolutely everything ending perfect, and here you give an attention and you are absolutely sure that after the elements are changing. Huh? You just give an idea and they do what they can do and what they will do. You are absolutely not proprietor of your creation. And at first this was for me very disturbing. I remember it was a little bit the same element in China, and I was why they don't ask me, why they don't do it. But now I think it's also a way to work, to say, okay, I bring this kind of push, and then happen what happened. It's a little bit the same as prototyping. This project in Marseille is here you make an intention not to do it, but to discuss it and to change it with the population, to bring it to new wave. So at all, what I propose is to work at new way to make conception, because I think to bring this public space more civic, we need a new instrument, and you have to look at new kind of comment. And I give for this one fantastic comment I have for a very little city in the south of France. Is a mayor who is now 65, and he's in the profession is psychologue, and he made politics with not as first element, and he say he will experiment new things in his city. And this is not important if he lose the next election. And this will be a very good model for politicians. I have politicians who say, I make the best, and not the importance is not so to make the new election. So, and he asked us, make a new design for all what is right in the city. Both. So we start with the first workshop. We analyze what is in the city. We yeah, why a sign is at this place, who are the author of the sign, often is an administration who come from Paris or from Brussels. So what's the origin of the element we have in the city? Can also be the sign of an habitant who say, don't park before my home. So you have many persons who express, you have the commerce who will be very seeing, and how can we make a new orchestration of this? And this was this idea of start to think this writing in another way, like something we have again to bring in quality, because you cannot change the writing in a city. It's not, you have not the power to do it. So you can influence a culture of sign. You can start to give good example, start to speak about the thing and hope that other persons react on it. So we speak and I say, okay, you have 2 or 3 jardiners to make the plants, and you take now 1 calligrapher. You have to employ a calligrapher. What calligrapher? Don't exist anymore, calligrapher. Yes, exist very young persons who are very interested about this. Now you have to introduce this. And we say, okay, what we can do is to say, we make a regel that all information in this city are based on a black background, and any information are permanent, and other information you can write on this lacre, I don't know how you say in English. Chalk? No, with chalk. And then we forbid poster. And the person has to write. If they will say something at this place, they have to write. And he was absolutely, he said, yes, we do this. He's fantastic. So it's this idea to make it better. We have the possibility, we explain, we can do it very in color, we can do it with very beautiful design or with sad design. Each person can make the culture of his intervention. We can make it collectively. We can have place who we speak together and all this. Then we work on the terminology, because this is also important. That's a little bit difficult to explain in English and in Slovene. So that's a swimming pool, the swimming, yeah. And when you come to the swimming pool, I think it's similar in Ljubljana. You have that first little inscription who is not really beautiful, and you have here a panel who say you are filmed with a video, but the video don't exist. And then when you enter here, you have so many panels who say forbidden to do this, forbidden to do this, it's dangerous to do this. This kind of situation we really know, and we work a little bit about this. So how can we give this possibility of, I think I have a problem with my selection, will come again later. That's the name of street, so we can also work on the name of street. That's the information for association, brasserie, commerce. We give place for the habitants. They can write, the habitants can say, I'm here, or I like you, or what they will. And we give place for the commerce. So the commerce is has more place and habitants. And then we make facts, not write sign system, so this is only paint. It's not a three-dimensional element, and will be every time on the corner of the elements. And yes, with this we start to make. I come back to the to the swimming pool. So that was the picture. So that's the swimming pool. When you are on the street, you see nothing. You come more, you see what I presented last time. That's the welcome objects. And we walk, what can we write on this element? Is it right to name it municipal swimming pool? Or can we say our swimming pool? Or it's a public swimming pool of Negropolis? Or what can be this naming? And your or our swimming pool. We can do it in Occitan, there's a region who has another language, or we can make it very poetic, the beautiful water of municipal water. And we decided to write it the swimming pool. And then when we speak about the swimming pool, we can speak about the library, the Hotel de Ville is the city palace, the museum, because in this little element you don't have 10 swimming pools. And then we work also about this interdiction, how can we do it in other way. So I switch this. And at the end, with our element who is only black, we can make it only in black, and then the persons can make it a little bit blue to say it's water. Or a mediathek is very more need very more information, so we paint the building in black, and there are very good big wall who they can say tomorrow happens this and all this, but all this is handmade. Or that's the entrance of the city. We can every time write what's the event of the day is. Or more official, that's a city house. We can give all the information for the citizen before of it. Or more temporary, you can have sign system in a world. So that's it. I will be happy to answer questions, if you have questions. If not, we go drink something.
In Montreal, when you said that you met crossroad on the floor, what is happening during the day when there is daylight?
The intensity of this light is very strong. And the other element we work in the moment is to have a support. So in the day you have the support, and in the night you have these interventions. So at all the identity of this quarter is based on this idea. In the day is a quarter like the other quarter in the city. It's really this philosophy to say we can be very strong, but we can also be more quiet. Also the light system of each cultural institution, we make a contract with each institution that they have 3 levels of light. Normal level when nothing happens, a level before and a level of high festivity. But they never had the authorization to be every time in high level. So it's really also how similar what we do in the typeface. How can we explain where happens something important with the light? Right. Then it's a real life, and somebody make a little bit more light as normal, but that's a real.
You have a lot of storytelling graphic design. So say like you are a storyteller, not only a graphic designer. why do you think is this important now? I mean, because this is very interesting.
I think the perception of design is really changing. 10 years, 15 years ago, we are the little element who make it better, but it was not so important. In the moment, all politicians know that design is a factor of economy, a factor of social cohesion, a factor of economy. And more cities start to be design cities. I'm a little bit critical about all this. You have more and more festivals, more and more exhibitions, more and more. So, in the same time, it's very important to speak at this politician and other responsible to give, in the same time, the possibilities, to present possibilities, and to present also an attitude who is out of communication. And I think Europa is on a disaster of marketing. The marketing is the origin of the crisis of Europa, because they broke our reality and bring an ideology who is out of what we are. And how the design can connect again with our cultures and with our realities, that's a challenge. I'm not sure to do it perfectly, but I try.
How long did it take for the last project to be from the start to the realization? Like
100 years. No, I think we will. I present this project last week at the mayor, and he is enthusiastic. He make me an SMS and say, "Fantastic! We have to find a strategy to bring it in acceptation with the population, and I propose we start with children." Very good idea. So the children will be the factor of introduction of this culture, because children like to write and so. So we will connect children and professional letter painter, and make in the same time first experience who are popular and first experience who are in a high level. And this will react something. It's absolutely possible that in 1 year I don't speak again about this project. It's possible it's broken down. Huh? It's an experience. But it's also not a catastrophe if it is not going. And I think this this dimension we have also to explain at the politician in the moment is make more risk, enter in, play with your city, bring it in an experimental dimension, because we need this. We need this this activity of experience. I think this has really. But I stopped because he speaks about my storytelling. This had the influence of the comportment of young people, of the population also. How can we bring again solidarity? I think in Slovenia you are not in the same disaster as we are in France. I don't know, but in France in the moment we don't have fest together. I will eat with my neighbor. I will start again to construct, to think the future together. How can we do this again? And I think we cannot do it with more regals, more security, more all these elements, more marketing. All these elements are bullshit, and we have to invent new relation.
Maybe I have a question. I mean, usually here we are kind of accustomed that you get a project and they want to have it by end of August. It's finished. To give them a sort of like a system, and that's it. but with your project, I have a feeling that that they kind of last. You know, that they don't. I mean, of course, they have the start, but then there is no end to it. It's kind of continuous. Is this something that you are stimulating? That it's your proposal, your idea, or?
So often we are in the studio. So I have studio and I have institute. This project in Institute of Francis Institute. That's typical, more an experimental project. Is not a command because the problem of working in an official way as business person is they have to take us in competition. So we are, and to make us in competition, they have to compare elements who are the same. That's the base of the competition. That's really boring at all. But you have possibility, I think, in this time of the competition to, that's with big risk, to say, I don't answer what you ask, I answer a little bit like this, because, and I give you arguments on it. And this we do often. So we change the, and from time to time the organizers say, you are out of regals, and from time to time they look what we do and say, yes, it's really more interesting as, and then we can start to work on this base. But I think at all I have more disappointed as other graphic designer. Because when you make this kind of experience, you go on the and can go up, down, or can be successful. But also this is important. I think it's important. It's not so problem if after me another graphic design do another thing. That's, yeah, it costs a little bit, but it's not so expensive. We go to drink.